everyone. My name is Fabiana Clement, and I'm co founder and chief data officer at Y-Data. For starting, I just want to share a few words about myself. My background is in applied mathematics, and later on, I've specialized myself in data science and machine learning with a master's degree. Numbers have always been my passion, so this made me data science the perfect fit as a professional career. But as in any data scientist, I've also tasted the bittersweetness of AI development. The data is not always available. Either because sometimes collection was not that great or because privacy constraint just makes the access nearly impossible. That was my day to day. But as many of you know, things just don't get easier when data is finally available. The truth is, more than half of my time was fully devoted to a hard and time consuming data preparation process. It sounds like a cliche, but I have to say that in my experience, 80% of data scientist time is spent on data preparation, which brings me to the topic that I'll be covering today. Data preparation and the lights of data-centric AI, and why is data the future of AI? In the last few years, we all have been pumped by the concept of AI and that many advantages it can bring. From automations to business results optimization, the benefits expected are huge. And sounds all great, right? It sounds amazing, but there's a need and cost related to AI that many did not predict it. The complexity of development and technology maturity. Truth to be told, many have been the hurdles from proper infrastructure to model monitoring. Enterprise have been investing in adopting a proper AI stack. Nevertheless, and based on the latest report from O'Reilly, 74% of AI projects never reach production. And, you might be wondering, what is the main reason for that? Well, of course, data. More specifically, the lack of it, of its or its poor quality. But I guess for many of you, this sounds just a bit like 2022. We are now in the era of foundation models. Yes, the internet went crazy for sure. From DALI to ChatGPT, we all went nuts. Foundation models can be described as models that are trained on broad data sets of unlabeled data, which, of course, makes them very special. They are the future of AI, where AI models are not only reusable, but also flexible, making them applicable to just about any domain or industry talk. But even though these large models can cost 10 millions or more just to train, each and new generation of these models have produced and increased accuracy as well as their flexibility, which is enticing the imagination of the whole industry with new potential applications. With these models, AI sounds so easy to grab. They are models that are trained in massive amounts of data and have shown that they can be quite handy and quite accurate. So it seems like say no more to garbage in, garbage out. Well, not quite. Although foundation models are conceptually less sensitive, not to data that is not that great, the truth is that these models not always work out of the box. Foundation models still have prevalent issues such as they are not reliable yet. Typographic tests have shown that foundation models can be easily tricked. They are not context aware. The lack of common sense end up in the production of non-ethical results from time to time. And of course, this is an oldie but goldie. The results are sometimes discriminatory and stereotyping. So the question or the big questions are, what can we do to fix them? How can we deploy them? And how can we differentiate if everyone else is using the same foundation? In the end, it's all about data. Yes, it is still about data. So far, the available and open source foundation models have mostly been trained on publicly available data, which can not only mean they might return results that are not as accurate as one would expect, but also not as specific as needed for some business applications. To fine-tune foundation models, data will still be required, and a lot of well-managed and curated data. In a nutshell, data is the true competitive advantage. And companies that have understood that and can see how valuable data is can for sure thrive in this new market. Data-centric AI, or data PrepOps for the engineers, I guess, is the approach for AI development that considers the training data sets as the centerpiece of the solution instead of the models. And this is why data-centric AI is so important. Data-centric AI can be described as the approach that considers the training data set as the core instead of the code. It is definitely a reminder to all of us of putting more emphasis on the data instead of the model. And one question that you might be asking, but what does it mean, data quality? Or what more exactly can I achieve, and how can I achieve what we all say to be smart data? Interesting enough, data quality has faced always many dimensions. It can be described as the data needs to be available, needs to be accurate, requires the right level of granularity, variety, and variability that are key to ensure generalization and robustness of our insights. And of course, the list goes on. In one paper I've read last year, data quality was described as having more than 70 dimensions. I know, it's overwhelming, but bear with me. The process of achieving better data quality does not need to be just a checkbox process where we all need all the boxes ticked, right? It rather depends on the use case as well as your downstream applications and what do you want to develop. And that's what matters, and it's important to retain about data quality. Data quality is achievable if we are clear about business objectives of the application. Nevertheless, there are always dimensions that remain key for every single application, such as accuracy, completeness, consistency, validity, integrity, and of course, uniqueness. Looks like we are definitely putting more emphasis on the need to do data exploration, profiling, and of course, preparing the data. If embracing the new AI paradigm is embracing data as the differentiation, and with models becoming a commodity or a foundation, it means that managing foundation models, it is essentially the problem of managing successfully the data lifecycle. And of course, as we move into the foundation models and data cloud era, business needs to seek for robustness, reliability, and scale of their data pipelines and systems. Above all, the process of assessing and ensuring the quality of data needs to go beyond the siloed and static approach adopted in many AI projects. Data needs to be profiled, cleaned, enriched, validated once. That's what we do today. These approaches don't scale for organizations that want to stay competitive and want to leverage from all the available data sources to develop several solutions and varied data models. In the end, we need to consider that the data science lifecycle goes from the problem statement, getting the right data, and preparing it all the way up to the model deployment and monitoring. It is an iterative process that needs to be reproducible and scalable. And this is where Data focuses. We are making it much easier to access, clean, and prepare the data for data science. So instead of spending time on cleaning and preparing the data, these teams can not only start delivering, but also improving existing baselines. So how can you scale your data PrepOps? At YData, we consider the following elements as core ingredients to scale data preparation and optimize data quality in a paradigm where data is the true differentiating factor. Data profiling as a data to ensure data quality standards. Preparation with smart synthetic data. And last but not the least, operationalization of pipelines at scale. So let's jump into our data fabric and check how this can be done with our solution. Welcome to Data Fabric. As we mentioned, we have 3 elements that we want to cover so you can understand the core elements for your data PrepOps at scale. We are in a collaborative platform. So, and of course, as any data science this world, we have several projects that we need to deal with. In this case, I'm only working in one, so I'll be opening that. As I mentioned, data profiling is definitely core for your data preparation operationalization. You need to know the quality of your data, how your data looks like. And that's why we include what we call a data catalog, so you can track and store the information regarding the quality of your data. This is the model where data scientists are able to not only connect to any storage that you might have within your organization, might be a cloud storage or even an RDBMS, or just an upload file like a CSV. And afterwards, they can automatically, in a standard and scalable manner, have right away an understanding of the problems and challenges that the data might have. So it is a very extensive and actionable way to get right away an understanding of the data, as well as the work involved to make the preparation of that data optimal for a certain use case. So you can easily navigate in between the different data types, as well explore the warnings and different problems that the data might have, such as correlation, perhaps skewness, or maybe even imbalance problems. So all of this does build the relation and trust in between the data science team, but also builds the history of your data set. How is your data looking like, and what can you do next? The profiling is extensive. It includes univariate perspective per variable with traditional statistics, to interactions and validations of how the variables interact in between each other, to a multivariate perspective through correlations, and of course, the analysis of missing data, so you can understand whether you have a problem of missing at random or missing at random. My preferred module, and the one that I like the most, is without a doubt synthetic data. So at YData, our core technology and one of our main differentiators is the generation of synthetic data. And what does synthetic data stands for? So the process of generating synthetic data can be considered as the production of any data that is not real, but does hold the same value as you would have from using real data. This is what we call smart synthetic data. So it's synthetic data that can replace your real records from a utility, fidelity, but also privacy if needed in some cases. In an era of foundation models, synthetic data is one of the tools that data scientists may want to have in their toolkits. It can be seen as a performance enhancer for machine learning models, as through augmentation, it can introduce more variability to the data that you have available, but it also can be seen as a way to unblock challenges data access due to privacy regulations, for instance. Because synthetic data is not real, it can cannot be traced back to the real individuals or real events. And that's why it's so useful, not only to enhance the power of machine learning models, and especially when working with models that need higher variability on the data, but also it can be very useful for privacy purposes as a privacy enhancing technology. So in YData, to create a synthesizer, we can very easily just click on Create Synthesizer, select whether we want the data set that we want to synthesize, define the variables that we want to include. In case we might want to take some of the PII out, for example, the zip code, but we also have and can select here the targets in the case we know already the downstream application that we want this data to be applied to. This will provide us a more detailed understanding of the utility of the data that we are going to synthesize. Click Next, provide the name, and the process is done. The synthesizers can train in between a few minutes to hours. And of course, I have here already one prepared with the data set that we were exploring. After training a synthesizer, we can generate as many synthetic data records as we would like and have a detailed description of how the data quality is looking for all and every single aspect of variables, and also for the multivariate perspective through, for example, correlations. But as a useful tool to also ensure the organizations that synthetic data has the quality, either on the utility and fidelity, or even the privacy side, we also provide a very descriptive quality report as a PDF that can be easily shared. As you can see, we have several metrics, and all of them are very detailed, so you can very easily understand what are the pros and cons, and also the strengths of the data that you have generated. From missing category coverage to categorical or range coverage, all of that is pretty summarized in this PDF report. Last but not the least, we have, of course, the pipelines. The pipelines are the element that allows the operationalization of all the data preparation steps as well the profiling steps, and make them not only reproducible, but also versionable at scale. And that's what I like the most. Let's jump into this example. Here I built use case where I'm profiling the data, building some features for my use case. I'm also doing some augmentation because my data set is highly imbalanced. And I want to be sure that given all the experimentation I've done in my use case, I'm able to understand what were the benefits and value of the preparation to my use case in my metrics specifically. So after running, for example, 2 experiments, I'm able to compare the different results given different input parameters and get an understanding of whether, for example, with augmentation, I have achieved better results or not. And this is why this is so important. All the steps in data preparation needs to be done at scale, needs to be reproducible, it needs to be standard across an organization. That's exactly what pipelines can allow you to do. And that's why they are so core and need to be combined with other standard and scalable elements, such as the data profiling and catalog, as we have seen, and of course, synthetic data as a new tool in the data science toolkit to overcome problems in terms of performance, variability, balancing bias of the data, or even as an unblocker in case of privacy challenges. I hope you have enjoyed. My name is Fabiana. I'm from Chief Data Officer of YData, and we are accelerating AI with improved data. Thank you.